You are listening to the global network of podcasters dedicated to the pharmacy profession. Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
The testimonials appearing in this podcast reflect individual experiences and individual results may vary. Cardinal Health does not claim, nor should the listener assume, that any individual experience recounted in this podcast is representative of what another consumer may experience. The Cardinal Health Counter Talk podcast, in collaboration with Pharmacy Podcast Network, is for independent pharmacists to learn about the state of the industry, innovative services and solutions, and the future of pharmacy. Join me, your host, Jason Calori, for conversations with pharmacists, Cardinal Health leaders, and industry experts, sharing best practices, discussing industry trends, and showcasing Cardinal Health products and services. You can subscribe to the Cardinal Health Counter Talk podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
2024 Cardinal RBC, sitting in for Jason again with Counter Talk podcast. And this is something that a lot of pharmacy owners, I think, don't really put as much effort in as they should, right? And that's reconciliation, claim reconciliation. And I got three awesome people here with me. I got Brad Cordes, right? I said that right?
Cordis. Close.
Close enough. All right, good enough. Lindsay Daniel, Stacy Ross. Guys, thank you all so much for joining the podcast. So let's talk a little bit about reconciliation. Why is it important, and any one of you guys can chime in, why is it important that a pharmacy is reconciling their claims? That seems like that's a no-brainer, but a lot of people aren't. So, yeah. Anybody?
Yeah, I think I'll take it and start it off. Reconciliation at its core is just to make sure that a pharmacy is getting paid not only on time, but they're getting paid the appropriate amount based on what they're billing out. So if you're not reconciling, how do you know that that's happening? Reconciliation's really the insurance policy that a pharmacy has to make sure that they are getting their money. And if you're not tracking your money, that's the most important part of your business. That's how you do anything, is with your revenue and what's coming in. So it is that insurance policy. Maybe you're missing money, maybe you're not. But if you're not reconciling, how do you know?
How do you know?
Exactly.
I was telling my partner in crime over here a while ago, it shouldn't be that hard for us to figure out if we're getting paid. But we're dealing with insurance companies, and nothing's easy. So, if a person, let's go with two different people, okay? First person's never used reconciliation. How would you guys talk to them? What's some advice that you would give them on how they can get set up? And then the second person we'll go into is, are they using reconciliation, or are they using it correctly? So let's talk with that new person. Somebody talked about, they're coming to you guys at RBC. Hey, I don't really do reconciliation. Help me out. Where would you guys point them?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah.
Here. So I think for customers who've really never done reconciliation before, I instantly go to our Recon Plus solution. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because they have a dedicated analyst that's there to support them.
Yeah.
And to go through that
and
process.
And that's important.
Absolutely.
Because it's confusing.
Right. And it just allows them to, number one, they can train them on the solution. Secondly, they have those one-on-one conversations with them to be able to discuss, next steps, what they need to do. So They guide them through the process, which is important, because when you try to do reconciliation yourself, it is a task. It's a manual task that can take time, and that's why we're so glad to have a partner like Enliven Health to be there to help support our customers.
Yeah, I can remember back in the day when I was working in pharmacy, watching the tech get the claims in. And they'd go with the ruler and they'd highlight, right? Oh, well, we didn't get paid on this. So they made a phone call and they fixed it. It's not like that at all anymore. You can't get a hold of nobody, number one.
Right.
So that's super important. And to piggyback off of kind of what you're talking about, like I just bought a pharmacy in July and the owner there did not reconcile at all. And so number one, we didn't even know if the data we were getting was correct. And then he's getting random checks in. He didn't even know what he was supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
It's scary. And we can't afford to have that right now. So
we can't afford to not know.
Right. Yeah. You're exactly right.
Not only that, but like the audit trail, right? You gotta think of the reporting capabilities that are there. Tax time.
Yes.
There's situations where claims not fully paid.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to recoup that money, you write it off. And there's a year-to-date tax or a year-to-date write-off report that's used, and that's something that pharmacies can use as a deduction against their business, which is important, especially in today's day and age, because they're working a lot harder for the dollar than they ever have. So that's another reason why reconciliation is so important.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had bought a pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the person selling or the person buying, you want to know the value of that pharmacy.
Right.
You want to know what's the outstanding open AR.
Yeah.
So even more reason to reconcile.
Yep.
You need to know what you need to know. You need to know your numbers.
Right. And in full transparency, I'm a Cardinal reconciliation client. So, I look at my numbers on the weekly. What are my aging? What's my 60 days? What am I at 180 days? Why is that out there? We reach out to our rep and we try to figure out what's going on. A lot of times it's something silly or, but if we weren't in there cleaning that up, one day, and not to go off topic, I had my pharmacy manager. It was part of her program for her goals and her incentives is to clean up our reconciliation. We found $20,000.
I was that tech once.
Yeah, that was out there. And if we hadn't had the program and the know-how to go through and somebody to help us, we wouldn't have found it. And that's a lot of pharmacies nowadays is doing this. So, yeah. So, we have questions here we're going to go through, but I'm not good with questions. But this one's pretty good. Why is it beneficial for LeaderNet customers to use our reconciliation solutions? So why is it important for these people to use that? And then we'll get into the patient who has recon, whether or not they're doing the right stuff. Yeah. So why is it important? I think we've hit on a lot of that. But is there anything that we missed on that besides you need to know if you're getting paid? Yeah.
I think
that was it.
So
This is literally the easiest podcast ever because it's like, do you want to know how much money you're getting? Done.
Yep. Just common sense.
Right. It's common sense. All right. Let's go to the other customer. So we have a customer that has recon. Their stuff's crazy, numbers everywhere. How would you guys advise them on what to do? Where do they need to start? They have that 180-day plus giant bill, what's in there?
So 9 times out of 10, if there are claims pending in the 180 plus bucket, it's because there's a direct payer that they do business with where we're not set up to receive the electronic 835 file. So at that point, what's happening is they're getting the paper check along with the EOB. And at times, that can add up. So you can imagine if there are a couple months goes by and you have direct payments that are coming your way, and the longer it takes for you to reconcile those, again, that's a manual process too on their part, that they would have to get that resolved and to close those claims out. So, and again, 9 times out of 10 too is I would always say, hey, this is a mess. We need to clean this up. What do? We got to put you on Recon Plus because the reason is you don't have time to do it. It's too much work.
Right.
And it is what it is. Some people are able to do that while others aren't. And for those that aren't, which is a lot because they're busy, that's where we can step in and provide that additional support just to allow them to spend more time in the pharmacy taking care of patients and less time trying to figure out what's still owed to them.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a customer right before this, and they were saying, well, the thing is you got to use it. And it wasn't about reconciliation, but they were saying, but you got to use the solution.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's one of the great things about our programs, the Cardinal Health programs, is that you have the ability to utilize a solution where someone's going to help you. And that's the benefit of that Recon Plus.
Yeah, and I think when you're on Recon Plus, it is important to stay engaged too, right? You have the analyst that's going to be doing a lot of the work and a lot of the research and things like that on your behalf, but you still have to talk to them. You still have to log into the platforms, verify those deposits, because if you're not verifying deposits, reconciliation can't occur. Yeah. And if, that's probably the number one place to start for an existing pharmacy on Recon is what does your deposits look like? Yeah. Are you getting that money yourself? And you'd be surprised the amount of money that we find just because a check got lost, a bank had an error, and an EFT didn't go through. So that's where I would start.
And there are steps that we have to do in reconciliation because we have those direct payers. Right, because they're booger heads and, they won't give us the files. We have to do it on our own. So there's a little bit of maintenance that you have to do, but it's really not that bad if you stay up with it.
Yeah, and you're right there. And we preach this quite a bit. And we don't want to sit there and say that when you upgrade to Plus, that's all you got to do. You just got to verify deposits. That's definitely not the case.
Right.
You have to be involved. You have to have control of your AR.
Yeah.
We kind of
It's a
treat these
business.
analysts like
It's a
they're
business.
worker bees. They're doing all the manual work that now you don't need to do. However, when you have those touch bases, it's important that you show up to those touch bases. It's important that you're responding to emails because that directly reflects how your AR is going to look. So there's definitely involvement with it. They're going to have questions about, let's say a claim is underpaid. I'll say, hey, are you looking for a voucher? They just have specific questions that sometimes they can't close out a claim unless pharmacy gives them more information on how to do that.
Right. So you keep saying Recon Plus. I know there's Recon and there's Recon Plus.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit of the difference in those two.
The only difference is Recon, like our self-serve basic Recon, we give you all the tools necessary to manage your reconciliation.
Okay.
The only difference is once you go to Plus, you just have an analyst now.
Yeah.
Same platform, you still have access
Totally
to
worth it.
everything. It's just now they're the ones that work for you.
Right.
And they take care of you.
Yeah.
But again, it is I can't stress how important it is that they maintain the recurring meetings, they're answering emails. As long as they're doing that, it's a great solution for them.
I have a friend, an acquaintance, that he had a pharmacy friend come to him and he said, look, my pharmacy is, I don't know what's going on. And I'm underwater and I need help. And so my pharmacy friend, true story, he looked through the stuff and he said, look, I'll buy into the store and I'll help you. I'll put some capital in, I'll put some cash flow for 51% of the store. So now that has that 1%. This guy had $400,000 that didn't have the right EFT set up and had no idea. And that's all it was. And so now, because of that, he's not, the 51% owner in his store. And that happens. I mean, a lot of people that are listening to this podcast right now are, man, where's my cash flow? Where's my cash flow? And it could be as easy as that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that analyst and you don't have that dashboard to really help you navigate where you need to go, you're lost.
I think a lot of pharmacies too, or pharmacist owners or pharmacy managers, like we are willing to watch literally every single claim that we submit, right? We'll watch that like a hawk.
Right.
But we're talking about your money, like
yes.
like the end, right? So you'll watch the claim, but we got to watch the bigger picture too. And this is where reconciliation comes in. This is the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And you got to keep an eye on it. You got to stay engaged. That's where the plus comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But taking that time and having that accountability with that analyst, that's the game changer with Recon Plus.
Yeah, the analyst is a big piece. Anytime that you have a one-on-one contact with somebody who can look at your account and know what's going on, that's a game changer.
Or tell you what you need to do.
Yeah, that's a game changer. All right, so we kind of talked about the two different pharmacies, and one trying to decide whether they want to do it, and one that's already doing it. So for the one that's doing it, but they're not doing it maybe great, give us some pointers that they can help their team. Like, what are some things like, hey, you mentioned a while ago, checking your emails, following up. You guys can totally help them come up with almost like a workflow, right? Like, hey, this is what you need to do, right?
Yeah. What's really nice, with our solution is we also have a resources option that's within it. And there's lots of how-to videos. We just started an interactive tool that actually goes into detail, and it makes you actually follow and click here, click there. So it's just like, to me, that's how I learn, is through interactive. And, we actually did that through Recon, along with our central pay solution as well. And I'm excited for that because I think that's really going to help some of those folks that are just, let's say, on basic, right? They can go and it'll take them through the whole process of how reconciliation is. And again, we also have our support team too that's there to help them. In situations where, like, I don't really understand, how to do this or how to do that. We can actually set up a demo to go through that with them, to help get them on a path so we can clean things up. Number one is confusing. So it's like, how many current payers right now are you getting paper checks for? And if you are, let's get you set up on electronic 835. So now you just have to go in and verify your deposits. And that's a lot easier than having to go in and upload it in EOB.
Right.
So there's definitely options there to help those customers out.
So I'm going to throw a wrench in this, right? So this is what I do. We have a customer that comes in. You all have a customer. And they're switching PSAOs. That I've done that. It's a booger. That's twice I've said booger today in this podcast, by the way. So help somebody navigate those waters. I know this is kind of off script, but when we come over, you don't have some of those claims, and it's the reconciliation is going to be a little off. How do you guys handle that with helping them figure out what to do?
Yeah, so I think changing PSAOs is probably the most important time to have a reconciliation program. You know, so if you're moving from somebody over to LeaderNet, like I've heard all this week, like, well, I'm new, so I'm not ready yet. I'm like, get started.
Today. This is not something you sit around and wait on.
Exactly. So like, let us get your dispensing data now. Sure, LeaderNet may not have your payments yet, but you're getting them from somewhere.
Right.
If you can have your other PSAO give paper EOBs, or if they're sending 835
I had
files.
to get the 835 files, and that really helped. But LeaderNet helped me do that.
Correct.
They sent me in the right direction.
Exactly. And so that's where to start, right? You're changing PSAOs. You need to be reconciling at that point, because there's so many moving parts. Like, well, it's going to this PSAO, it's going to this PSAO. Oh, this is direct now. So if you don't have help, if you're not leveraging the reconciliation platform to track down your money, I would say that that's a very common time for pharmacies where things are just up in the air. Things aren't set up correctly, and that's where reconciliation comes in.
Cash flow gets a little wonky during PSAO changes, for sure, because the checks come in and the paper. They switch to paper and they do this. So having that person in your corner, it was vital for us, because it's a challenging time. And so, if anybody's listening to this, which I think a lot of people will be, but it's very important. If you're switching PSAOs, get on board quick.
And also, too, something I want to add in terms of just reconciliation. People think reconciliation is making sure you get paid, but also it's showing your growth. Are you growing?
Yeah.
You know, there's widgets right there that kind of shows, like, are you expanding your business?
Right.
Are you
And it shows it over time. Like, here's what you had last
Yes.
year. Here's what you had previous month. And you kind of like, oh, what's up? You know, you can kind of see trends.
Right.
And that's how we really know how we're doing, is the trends. Absolutely. There's a lot more in Recon than probably most people use. And I'm probably one of those, but it's definitely an amazing tool.
A lot of reports.
A lot of reports. There's reports everywhere.
One of the things I think that probably doesn't get as much pizzazz is the adjustments that take place.
Yes.
So yes, you submitted a claim. You were expecting $5, and yes, you got paid and it reconciled. But the check ended up being less than you were maybe anticipating. But why is that?
Right.
And with a reconciliation program and all the reports that this particular program has to offer, you can see, number one, that there were adjustments. And then the team has a really great resource that calls out, what do those adjustment codes mean? So was it a performance adjustment? Mm-hmm. Was it an audit adjustment? So those types of things at least can give you some of the visibility that you didn't have before.
Right.
You were just accepting the check and moving on. So there's a lot of other components of the program. They're also helpful.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier to navigate these weird waters, right? Because it's just numbers. We're just getting numbers, but how do we put all those numbers together?
Makes sense.
What does it mean? And what does my bank account look like? Yeah. All right. So we're in the point of the podcast where you guys get to ask me questions. Throwing you on the spot, by the way.
Yeah, I got a question for
Because,
you.
and I'll, all right. I own stores, and I'm Cardinal, and I'm LeaderNet, and so.
Yeah, so on the whole Recon solution, what's your favorite part of the solution?
I mean, my go-to every time, first I look and see that we're putting in our checks, so on the deposits, and then I always go to my age receivables. That's my first go-to. If that looks weird, then I start diving into where's it at, what's going on. And like I said, part of my team's goals is to keep that age receivables down. Why is it up there or whatever? And again, we found $20,000. It was like COVID money or something. And, you know, that's been kind of, I just got a thing from an amazing PBM saying that they overpaid me for COVID stuff earlier, so that was awesome. But that's my go-to is that age receivables. It's super easy to look at, and it gives me kind of direction on where I need to go. If it looks good, I just truck on. Okay, I'm good. Everything's fine. But if that age receivable starts creeping up, then I know I really got to start doing something. So that's my go-to in my stores for sure. Yeah. All right. What do you got? You got a question for me?
I got one for you.
All right, let's do it.
You said your staff. So my question was ultimately going to be, do you do this or have you delegated it? And if you've delegated it, what components of the solution do you delegate?
Well, you're talking to an enigma here. I am a delegating genius. I delegate everything. People say it's laziness, but I say it's
sign of a good manager is a delegation.
Right. So I have an office or a store manager. She's a technician, that's been with me for a long time, and I gave her full reign of my store. She runs it. I don't even run it. So people come ask me questions, I forward them to her. She does my deposits, so she'll go in and do the deposits for me. And then we have my office manager who does all of our banking, all of our, AR and reconciliation and stuff. She'll look at that. And then we have our accounting firm has access to these reports as well. So the majority of my stuff, I literally just, like I said, that's what I do. I jump on, check my age receivables periodically. If it's looking weird, then I start trying to figure out where it's at. But I've delegated almost all of it out to them. And if there's questions, then my girl, Tracy, she does all that for me. So I'm like, hey, you need to go find why this and this is up, and then she takes care of it. So I think that's a big piece. And that's, we can go down the rabbit hole of leadership in a store, which I would love to. But, I think it's important to be open and honest with your team. And sometimes letting them see where your numbers are really helps them understand the bigger picture. A lot of pharmacy owners are like, I don't want them to see the bank account. I don't want to see, and I don't understand. Don't see the bank account, but I don't want them to see this. I don't want to see that. Sometimes they need to see that, right? They're seeing the claim. Why can't you show them the age receivable? So that's why I'm a little different than I think most, but I've always delegated that out to somebody else. Yeah. So
I would say a pharmacist I work for delegated it to me, and that's where I ended up sitting here.
Yeah, right.
Previous role as a recon manager, because someone delegated it, learned a lot about it, and then you find the business a lot of money. You're like, whoa, like a single mistake in processing a claim that I probably did. There's so many things that could have gone wrong, and then you see it, and now you realize the impact of all the things that you're doing as you're inputting into
Absolutely.
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a talker. Go for it.
I love it.
How much would you pay monthly for a service like this? What is the in your mind, if you put a dollar amount to it, regardless of what it currently costs you, what's that value to you?
Well, I don't even remember what it currently costs right now.
Okay, even better.
Because it's just what we have to do. What is the value? I don't want to say it's invaluable. I mean, shoot, I can pay for an accountant to come in and do it for me, but that would be really expensive.
Yeah.
This, I think it's $300-400 a month, something like that. That's totally doable. That's totally worth it. If you think about that and what it could save you, and again, I've given 2 examples and you've had examples, that's totally worth the money, for sure.
Your $20,000 just got paid for.
Oh, 100%. Easy. Think
Couple
about
times
the dude
over.
that had $400,000 outstanding. That's a big deal. So I think the value that you guys have on this is definitely worth it. I go around and around with my rep sometimes. I'm like, am I really getting the value out of this program and this program? But this one is a doable one for sure. I mean, and like we said, if you're starting out, this is something that you need to go ahead and put in your budget. You need to do it, and it's worth it because you don't want to be that person that has no idea at all.
So as you transitioned to LeaderNet, you don't have to say, obviously, if you used another reconciliation solution, that transition from who you were using to our solution, what were the benefits that you saw from that transition?
So we switched wholesalers. We've historically been with Cardinal for a long time, and then every now and then we get an itch and we reach out there and make sure we're getting our best deal. And I think it's always healthy for somebody to go out there and see what's out there. And Cardinal would tell you the same thing. And 9 times out of 10, actually 99 times out of 100, it comes back Cardinal's probably our better fit for who we are. And so when we switched to a company and then we came over back to Cardinal, the benefit was having somebody help us navigate that. That was the benefit, because we just started getting checks. We just started, I don't even know what this Humana is a new name, but the check gets sent by another person. I don't even know what all that means. You think I would. I'm not that good at that. My business partner is. He knows all those bins and PCNs and names and everything forwards and backwards. I don't. And a lot of other people don't either. So the biggest benefit was going ahead and switching it on, get that claims data, and having somebody help you navigate those waters, right? Because it's going to be weird. PSAO switch is hard. It is very difficult. But if you have somebody helping you, that was the biggest piece, for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely strive on support, especially with our customers, because, it's like a multi-tier approach.
Right.
You have your sales team that's there to support you. You have Cardinal Health reconciliation team to support you. And then also you have Alignment Health support as well, who we're partnered with. So, like, the level of support that we have is, for whatever reason, if something happens with that first line of defense, you always have the second and third. So you're never going to be in a situation where you're not going to be helped.
Yeah.
So, and that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times it's like that one level of support and that's it. It's like, who else can you turn to if you're not getting what you need?
And something else we didn't hit on is the dashboard's actually really easy to navigate. I've had some that it's really not easy. You don't know what something is, or you don't know what a code is, and it doesn't really tell you, and that so forth. So, the Cardinal Recon dashboard is really easy to navigate. And people can see that here at RBC too, right?
Yeah. Not only that, but on your mobile phone, let's say you're like, how much did I get paid today? You can look and pull it up.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mobile app. You can pull it up. And if you're like, do I have any deposits I need to verify? And the widget will show, like, what's unverified.
I'm never going back in the store again.
Pull up the app.
Sit there and check your bank account.
So you have all those widgets you still have access to. You can flip through on your phone to see.
Nice.
It's just a quick, look. And I think that's great.
Yeah. Well, that's
we know
awesome.
how busy pharmacies are. So we try to develop a process to where they can spend, again, more time with their patients and less time in all of our solutions.
Right. The more time we can spend in something that's good for the patient and good for the margin, that's what we need to be doing. And, this one is good for the margin if it's something screwed up, for sure. So, anything else, you guys? Did I miss?
I wouldn't want to leave here without noting that, like, the partnership that we have with Alignment Health for this program has been outstanding. They're a great partner to work with, and then being able to support our customers as well. So the analysts and helping the customers when customers do have issues, making sure that we all work together very well. So being able to have a great business partner and delivering a great solution for our customers is huge.
Yeah, I mean, Enliven, I've dealt with them for a while. I like it when two good companies come together and do something better.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing for sure, and that really helps everybody out.
And the beauty of it too is what I love more than anything about our partnership with Enliven is, if for whatever reason you hit a roadblock, we always come together to figure out what it is,
right?
And we work together.
It's there's different. They have different tools, and you have this, and then it all kinds of. That's kind of figured out.
Right. Yeah. So we work off of each other, and we always figure it out. And sometimes that's hard to get. When you're trying to deal with a partner. Or so to be able to have that, we're definitely fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we just keep the customer at the forefront of our minds, and that's how we always come to a good conclusion in the end. One thing about the analysts, I always like to say they're an extension of the pharmacy staff.
Yes.
Like, it's such an important relationship for them to have, and being here,
you
being
end up knowing them by first name. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
I love them. I love the pharmacies coming to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, Tiana's amazing."
Yeah.
Like, knowing their name and recognizing that partnership is so important. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll actually just share a quick success story. From one of our customers. So this comes straight from an email. It says, he told me some wonderful things about his analyst, Tiana, that's her name. And I wanted to share this with you, as we love to hear this sort of feedback from customers. We went on and on about how great she is. This is what we hope for with all of our customers when they think of Cardinal Health reconciliation analysts. Please let her know how much we appreciate her going above and beyond for her customers, as it does not go unnoticed. Thank you. She stood by and helped us through all the Change Healthcare issues. She's top notch.
Oh, we didn't even get into Change Healthcare.
Yeah, Tiana has been amazing.
There's that too.
Shelby and Crystal Ray were all good analysts as well. Tiana never faltered. She is amazing, very diligent through her professional and knowledgeable. She made sure to tell me exactly what she needed, and it works great for me. She works every day with me and got it fixed. So it's great to hear that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes you feel good, like you're doing a good job. And you guys are. So reconciliation is super important. So, guys, I thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is, again, we don't do podcasts on silly stuff, even though that would be awesome too, but very, very important stuff to pharmacy owners. And reconciliation is at the top. Like, you have to have this, guys. And Cardinal Health really knows what they're doing. I like it. I don't have any problems with it. So you guys should just go get it. Really? Is that how that works?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And now you guys pay me, right? Is that it? No, I don't even get paid. So, but no, guys, thank you all so much. If you're at RBC, swing by and see them. If not, contact your rep. Reach out to Cardinal Health, reconciliation. Get this going. If you're doing it and you're not for sure how it's going, reach out to your analyst.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, guys. Thank you all. Have an awesome RBC, and we'll see you around.
All right.
Dr. Adam Robinson here, and I am walking around Cardinal Health, RBC, and I ran into one of my really good pharmacy friends, Nicolette Matthey, with Atrium 24, and I always had to grab her and say, hey, come talk on here real quick. Nicolette, how is it going? How is Atrium 24? And first of all, thank you for what you do, because you fill a gap where we need stuff, for sure. Like, pharmacies need information, and you fill that gap. But tell us what's going on, some of the new things you guys are working on, and what do you think about Cardinal RBC?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. It's always good to see you, and thanks for having me. It's been exciting. I always say, what a time to be alive. But really, and even though this year has been a doozy with the double DIR and all that, and just reimbursement pressures, it's also been a time for incredible opportunity. Mm-hmm. So at Atrium 24, we started out 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years next month.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I can remember when you started that.
Yep. And we started with sales and marketing consulting. Done a lot of cool exercises with sales reps and just how do we manage them? How do we hire them, train them, onboard them, KPIs, lead and lag measures. And now, took some time to build, but just this year we launched Dottie, our sales system.
Yes. And we use Dottie.
Yep.
It's really helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an all-encompassing sales system for pharmacies. So it has a CRM, and it pulls all your prescribers in. And then we have marketing materials in there that automatically puts your branding on it.
Right. We got speakers going off around us. So somebody's winning something. So
not me.
Right. I didn't sign up for anything. All right. Yep. So Dottie.
Yep. So that's been going really great. I mean, we pull data feeds from most of the PMS companies and then import them into Dottie so that you can see your top prescribers, your trends, and just really move the needle for your business. And every pharmacy is so different. But it's been incredible to see the growth in profits with this GLP opportunity for pharmacies this
That's
year.
the hot button is the GLP-1s. And, I've been getting emails from you guys for a while. I was on some of your very first webinars to how do we navigate this 503B? What does it look like? And that kind of sparked interest in my mind. And, we're doing the GLP-1s with the help of you guys. And it's been very successful. It's been very successful. So, talk a little bit about that and where you guys are playing in that role.
Yeah, absolutely. The way it's evolved, and my favorite space for the GLP-1s is for pharmacies. So your regular, community pharmacy is considered a 503A pharmacy. Yep. You can purchase from, with this new FDA guidance that came out last June, 503A typical pharmacies can purchase from 503Bs. Right. 503Bs used to just sell to hospitals and doctors' offices, but now the channel is clear. Yep. They could sell to pharmacies.
And it's all because of shortages.
Right.
There's so many shortages. I mean, you can blame it on whatever you want to. And I'll preface this by saying, make sure you call your board. Yep. Make sure you see what legalities we have. And if you guys can do it, some states are not on board, some are. So double check that. But if it works, you contact you guys.
Yeah, and we've had some very conservative. We had a webinar with Friar Levitt that's loaded in Dottie. We had a webinar with Mark Bozen that's loaded in Dottie. Just because I wanted to hear legally what do we need to look out for, where are the landmines. But it's a great opportunity. And the most exciting thing right now, I think, is we've started to aggregate purchasing power.
Yes.
And started a co-op.
Yeah.
Because the pricing is all over the board for pharmacies buying from 503Bs. So my team, I'm visiting them. I just went to one in Orlando. I just went to one in Arizona. And we're bringing them on into the co-op. And we're aggregating all the purchase power of our pharmacies. And we're saying, hey, if you're a Dottie pharmacy, you got to give us a good price.
Right. And it's so crucial that we have that.
Yeah.
And I understand why there's different prices and different models, and it's on purchasing power. But what Atrium's doing with that is really helping out. I'm excited about the new one you got coming on board that hopefully they get licensed in Kentucky soon. We'll definitely be using because they have the pins and all that stuff. So
the pre-filled syringes is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, it's easy.
And when I go into these 503Bs and I vet them and look through their paperwork and all this and have webinars with them, meet their compliance team, figure out their product catalog, figure out the pricing per milligram. Then I come in and I say, okay, we want half off list price.
Right.
Why not? Yeah. We're going to send you a lot of pharmacies. And so let's do it. And it's great therapy for our patients too. Yeah. Because you're getting an FDA, it's not approved. You have to be very careful about your verbiage. So you're getting a product that's from an FDA registered facility.
Yes.
So these are still compounds. These are still non-FDA approved products, but no compound is FDA approved.
Correct.
So it's
there's
good.
A lot to it, but you all have made it an easy channel to navigate with what you have going on there at Atrium.
Even the powders, what's incredible? I'm on this Facebook group, this pharmacist moms group. Yeah, it's like 40,000 something women, and the retail pharmacists a lot of times are like, what is this compound popping up? The drug's on a shortage. You can't get semaglutide. You can't get tirzepatide. Well, that's not actually true. I understand how that would be the thought process. You would just think that pharma has that API. They don't. There are about 20. I was just talking with Scott from APC.
Yeah, I had him on earlier.
Yep. There's over 20 now manufacturers. I believe they're in China.
Right.
But that's where pharma, that's where Lilly, and that's where Novo buy the API from. What's on shortage is the auto-injector pens.
Yes.
So that's what they're investing billions of dollars.
And that's also where their patent and stuff is, so you got to remember that.
Yeah. So there's molecular patents, and there's things to watch out for. And I thought I was pretty smart, and I tried to research the patents, and no.
No, you're not a patent lawyer. What are you talking about?
No, so I quit that endeavor.
Right.
But all to say, interestingly, if you're buying semaglutide or tirzepatide powder, you're probably paying too much.
Yeah.
So I've started going to
too
the
much
source.
Anywhere. It's always nice to ask.
Yeah. Always. Never pay list price.
Yeah. Never pay list price.
But I'm finding the manufacturers in China. We actually did a webinar on importing these APIs, on even vetting paperwork if you're going to buy from Sinopep.
Right.
Or a new one that just came online is High Bio. So have they been FDA inspected in China? Because the FDA doesn't get out there that much. But some of them have been FDA inspected in China. Yeah, because if
they have to sell in America, they have to be FDA inspected.
Yeah. And then do they have their EIR, their inspection establishment report, or something like that?
Yeah, no, that's online on the FDA website too. Yeah.
And do they have a DMF? That's a big factor. Mm. And so once they have all this paperwork, you can either buy it from an authorized distributor in the U.S., or, you could import it, but that's the thing.
Right.
You have to buy a lot.
Yeah. Well, and the whole point of us talking about this is we don't have to do this.
Right.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing the legwork. Atrium's doing the legwork. Yeah. You've been known to do that.
That's my favorite place to be.
Right. That's you. And that's the beauty of what you offer customers is it's a one-stop shop. You have your marketing. What's the hottest trend going on? You're going to be talking about it. You're going to be going down that rabbit hole and figuring it out for us.
Yeah.
What are some places that we can buy from? So you're a great resource, and you're a champion for pharmacy. We all know that, and I'm always excited to talk to you and see what you got around the block, what's coming around the block. But I'm so glad to run into you.
Yeah.
But if anybody has questions about, number one, marketing,
Yes.
we need to be marketing. We've got two great marketers. We have GRX
Yes.
here, and we have you, great people to deal with in the pharmacy world when it comes to marketing. And then if you're interested in any of these co-ops and really
Yeah.
help and drop
Yeah.
that bottom, the bottom line, it
Yep.
goes down the bottom line.
It
If you can
does.
buy cheaper, it's so much better.
Yep.
So, and especially with these GLP-1s and
Yeah.
help navigating those waters, because it is a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you
I think
have
so. It's
questions,
exciting.
Yeah, just reach out. It's atrium24.com.
Atrium24.io, because
Oh.
we are a software company.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a SaaS company for independent pharmacies.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the sales system, it's just so fun
Mm-hmm.
to see pharmacies doing really well with this opportunity. But when I worked for PDS and for Dan
Mm-hmm.
at Pharmacy Development Services, that was my job too. With the Director of Clinical Services, I
Yep.
got to go travel to these pharmacies that were innovating and research cool new innovations. And
That's my favorite
programs
part of
and
doing these things, and not to cut you off, but
Yeah, it's inspiring.
that's when I go and I have to speak somewhere. If Lisa brings me in and has me speak,
Yeah.
or if I'm doing something for Todd, I get to meet all these people, and what are you doing? That's cool. Oh, hey, I'm doing this, but I never thought about it that
Yeah.
way. And when I was doing consulting, I would go to pharmacies, just like you were saying, and I didn't know that we could do it that way.
Yeah.
Or they would come to my store. That's kind of the new thing that I'm doing, is they're coming to my store and seeing what I'm doing.
That's smart.
And I can, hey, here's what we're doing. And like, oh, have you thought about doing it this way? Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
you're doing this kind of point of care testing? I didn't even know that was a thing. You
Yeah.
know? So the message again is Atrium keeps it easy for you and simple for you to understand what's going on. But you have to get out there and you have to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've said this ad nauseum to a lot of people, is in 2005 when Medicare D came out, what happened? Pretty much the same kind of stuff we're seeing now. People weren't getting paid. They didn't know what was going on. Pharmacies were closing. The ones who popped out of that were innovators.
Yeah.
PDS came out of that. A lot of services, clinical services that Cardinal has and different wholesalers have.
Yeah.
So we saw that, something bad's happening. We need to innovate. We need to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And now we're seeing it again.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And the ones that are going to survive are the ones that are going to, pull up their bootstraps.
Yeah.
And figure out some new
Yeah.
way of doing something.
Yeah, I would not let this opportunity pass you by.
Yeah.
Even the most conservative folks that I talk with are on board
Yes.
with this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fun. I used to vet and build programs that we would launch at the conference. And now I'm still vetting and building programs, but now we get to launch them year round through our software because
Yep.
we have videos in there. We have learning courses where your whole team can get trained on the
Yes.
opportunity. You download a marketing resource, it puts your brand on it in real time.
Yep.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
Thank
You're doing
you.
good things. So, guys, atrium24.io.
that's right.
Because it's a software company.
We do have a free 14-day trial in our Dottie software as well.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, the Dottie's super easy for us in our CRM to do all that.
Good.
When
That
we
was
go
the
out
goal.
and see
We
providers.
wanted it to be as user-friendly as the iPhone.
Right.
So just very intuitive. You just log in. It's very clean and easy
Yeah,
to use, and
it
all
is.
your data is right there.
Yeah, you're just putting notes in. You got your providers, and boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So, thanks for meeting with me.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
See ya.